So I always say dead. I say dead mom. I call her my dead mom. I don't say she passed away. I say dead. And I get people get mad at me for that. They're like, that's disrespectful.
Yeah, I got shit for the name of my podcast, Dead Talks. That was the whole point. It's like, just put it in your face. And I was, guys, it's the word. We're dead. We're dying. We're dead.
Yes.
Like, that's it. It's not insensitive. That is what it is. The passing away, the losing. Sometimes I catch myself slipping to say that. But part of me is like, I do the same thing. I try to get more refocused. But yeah, my dad's dead.
He's dead. My mom's dead. I'll say and I'll be like, my dead mom. Like, that's insensitive. And it's like, imagine, so the way that I cope with it is this way. So imagine seeing yourself as the compassionate one for criticizing me for how I cope. That's not compassionate. No. And also, you're not mad because I said it. You're mad because you think about dead people for a second.
Yeah, it's a death thing.
You're upset because I made you think about how everyone in your life is going to die, but like they are.
Yeah, they are. That is the whole point.
Unless you die first.
Unless you die first. And I get it. It's wild.
Yeah.
It doesn't, again, I laugh about it all the time. I've made jokes for a very long time about it. It's how I process it. Some people think it's just a deflection. To me, it's not a deflection. No. That's me running into it.
Yes.
That's me confronting it, finding the humor, because I think this show of a life is just one dark comedy, in my opinion.
Of course.
I think anything could be laughed at, and I do have to tiptoe around certain people because I don't want to. I'm not here to insult you or make you feel bad, but sometimes it's ill-timed, and I've learned that. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I don't want to take it too seriously, and this is the one thing that we are all sharing, and the one thing we are all going to experience. And again, with you being in your field with politics and on Fox, you see the inherent divisiveness of things.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that all brings us together is death.
Yeah.
And the fact that we aren't comfortable talking about it. Other cultures are way more comfortable, which is fascinating itself. But I think the more you push it off, just like anything, when it does happen, it's just going to smack you across the face.
Yeah, it is. And people, nobody is helped by people will always freak out about what to say to you and stuff like that. And the experience of my mom's funeral was just so interesting. The fact that people, being in that by the casket where you're the person that's like receiving the line of people and watching people freak out about, and it's like, you know what? There's really nothing you could say that would be like a bigger deal than the dead body over here. Like, you know what I mean? So like, chill. Yeah. Just say, and that's why I always tell people, because people will ask me for advice. Like, what do you say? It's like, it doesn't matter. It really kind of doesn't, because there's no perfect words. And you're making it worse by then making me feel like I need to console you because you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't even have the perfect words. I'm very more like touchy-feely kind of guy. So I'm more of a hug, just being there. And I understand. I don't get, if someone says things that I don't personally wouldn't say, like they're in a better place. Or some things
it doesn't upset me either.
People get upset at that person. Like, most people are just they don't know what to say. They're not doing it from a bad place. So I think if you're getting rubbed off by the way someone else is saying, it's just something you got to work out.
Yeah,
it might not be the time.
For me, I think the most helpful stuff has probably been just when somebody tells me a story or something, or like, I remember that one time when your mom did this, or people who are maybe like my mom's siblings will tell me a story that I never knew about her, because I can still, even though she's not here, doesn't mean I can't learn new things. That kind of stuff is cool.
That's the best.
That's what I like. Or just people be like, that sucks,
Yeah.
Or people, the worst is if I make a joke and people go, "Aw." It's like, shut like, shut up. I made a joke because I wanted you to laugh, not because I want you to be like, no. Like you just ruined, now you made my day. Now, in addition to having a dead mom, I have to deal with my joke bombed.
You're going
my joke bombed now. Like, on top of it, I bombed. Like, come on.
Yeah, but I think the humor for me is just, I don't know, it's just second nature. And I'm not saying it's funny, but
it doesn't have to be.
You know what I mean? It's just the timing of it. And I think that's the whole point. It's kind of not diluting it, but just take a breath.
Yeah.
Take a fucking breath. And it's not that it's serious, I guess.
Of course.
I don't want to say that. And it doesn't mitigate. Even if you talk about it, if someone comes in this podcast, never experienced death, when it happens, it's still going to suck.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. To me, I'm getting all weird about it. It's just, this can't be it. I mean, I don't know. It could be it, but all this stuff is way too weird for me to think that we just live, die, and there's nothing else.
Yeah.
I truly believe, again, without absolute certainty, that something's going to happen after. I have ideas about what, not totally sure about it, but I think once we do cross over, if you will, we're going to like look back, and maybe not in this body, but I'm like, oh, oh, this is, what the hell was this?
Yeah.
It's a real experience and it's beautiful. And like the feeling of being human, I think is so amazing to me. But I think we're just going to look back and it's all going to make sense.
Yeah, and it is ridiculous just when you are going through it, like in the throes of it, to think about you see people just like walk around living their lives. It's
And
crazy.
that's part of it too. Like the way my mom handled, she kind of got us back in. 'Cause she didn't want. She realized the life keeps going. So the
Yeah.
thing about to me is like I heard one of my past guests say is living and grieving. Like a lot of people just stop. And I'm not saying that. And back to what you were saying, we get this stigma of how we should do things. Like oh, and based on when I always ask people, so am I doing it wrong? I'm like, why do you feel that way? What have you heard, or what is giving you the reason to feel like you're doing it wrong? And my understanding from that, it's not coming from you. It's coming from external people or external ways about you're supposed to grieve this way. I think grief is it's all the emotions rolled into one. It's complex. I don't think there's a right way, but I also think it's just what works for you. And maybe if
Yeah.
you're drinking and getting shit faced, like I'm not saying that's the right way, but maybe you got to go through that.
And I did, and
You got to go through it.
and I really like. I mean, I was just getting wasted. I mean, but I'm not doing that now, and I don't mean just because I'm pregnant. I mean, like I wasn't drinking like that. It was like a year
Mhm.
of getting wasted and crying and being an absolutely intolerable person to be around for like a year.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
fine. I mean,
that helped though. That
yes,
for
yeah.
whatever reason, and then I like that helped me a
Mhm.
little bit. And then I was like, because then I didn't want to like hold myself back from that. I just was doing that. And then I was like, this isn't helping. And then I just stopped. And it's, you'll go through phases. It wasn't like that was like the acute phase of it.
Mhm.
But even still, I mean, having had that experience of watching someone die and then there's nothing you can do and they're just dying and then they die, it's like it makes everything else in life seem like a less big
I don't know
deal.
why that sounded so
No,
poetic.
but it does. It's like when people ask me if I get nervous to do certain things, it's like I am very open. I do share a lot of things about myself. I do really put myself out there. I'm like, well, I'm gonna die anyway. Like we're all dying.
Yeah,
Everyone's
and that can go either
dying.
way. To me, that doesn't sound. People think it's just morbid. I'm
No,
like, no. I think it
it's
goes.
freeing
I think
almost.
it's freeing, and it can go in either direction. Oh, we're gonna die anyway, and maybe just often just be a bad person. I don't see it like that. Maybe
No.
some people do. I don't know. Me, like if this is it, then to me it just makes you want to experience more. And then when it hits the fan, maybe then I'm like, all right, we're gonna die anyway. So I'm gonna be a
Yeah.
blip on this radar. What does it really matter?
Yeah, it's not that
But it
serious.
does matter at the same time.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like a weird balancing act.
It is a weird balancing act. And I haven't really figured it out yet. But I think it's cool to talk about. That's just
So 10 years later, how do you feel?
I mean, I don't have any more answers. And I think there's this, like I said, with having a baby, there's this new thing where I think about her more. Like, I really don't want to get an epidural because she didn't. And I don't want her to be better than me.
Okay. A
So,
little competition never
yeah,
hurt.
I'm like, I can't because then I'll be like, so I'm still competitive, I guess, with her, even though she's been dead for 10 years. And it is crazy to think that it's been that long.
Yeah.
So I've explained it this way before because I wrote about it, that I am essentially preparing to become a mom for the first time when I don't remember what it's like to have one, which, it doesn't mean I don't remember her, but I don't remember what it's like to be like, I'm going to call my mom.
Mhm.
It's like, that's such a distant memory to me.